Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for the delay. A warm welcome to you all for tonight's regularly scheduled City Council meeting and Committee of the Whole meeting. The City Council meeting is called to order. I kindly ask our City Clerk to please take the roll call.
Bruno.
Here.
Burkhart.
Here.
Clements.
Here.
Ruby.
Here.
Caven.
Here.
Kilberg.
Here.
Maladra is out. Marks.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Swanson.
Here. At the beginning of our City Council meetings, we always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask our two new friends, Franco Badalico and David Orr, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Folks, I want to begin tonight's meeting with a note of farewell, celebration, and well done to our friends, the Arbazani family. Many of you know that last Saturday, or this past Saturday, was the final day of operation for the Little Owl and, of course, Flagstone. And as most of you know, in that very space, due north of City Hall here, they operated a restaurant called the Little Owl since 1934. Prior to that, they operated in Geneva since 1923. And this past Saturday, August 17th, was their final day in business. I had the pleasure of speaking to the boys, both Chris and John Arbazani. They are looking forward to the next chapter in their life, and I think it would be remiss of all of us if we didn't recognize not only the longest continuous operating restaurant in the city of Geneva, but also just two good guys, and of course Mrs. Arbazani as well, who provided extraordinary entertainment, hospitality, and of course delicious food for nearly a century. So with that, we bid them a fond farewell and of course best wishes. So now we have some cool introductions to make, man. Ready for this? Introduction of the Water Wastewater Division Administrative Analyst, Franco Badalico. Franco, come up to the podium, man. This is the new uniform, folks, at the Water and Wastewater Division.
I don't know.
Now, we've had the pleasure of meeting before.
We have, yeah. You stopped in.
Have you met the council members yet?
No, I haven't.
Didn't I warn you?
Yep. Yes.
So, Franco, I got some information on you, man. You come to us from the city of Naperville.
Correct.
That's cool. You got your master's in public administration from NIU?
That's correct.
Wow. Now, this is really cool, and this is personal for me. My daughter, son-in-law, and grandkids just moved to Italy.
Nice.
They're living in Milan.
Wow.
And it says here you speak Italian.
Yes, only at home with my parents.
So you're fluent.
I'm more fluent in the dialect,
Is that right?
yes, than
Is it
proper
northern dialect,
Italian.
or?
It's a southern dialect.
It is?
Yeah, you'll find most, I would say you would find most Italian Americans in the United States have immigrated from the south more than the north. Because the north is more affluent, the south was lacking jobs. So they came here
Wow.
from Calabria, Sicily, those sort of places.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So when things don't go well in your job, do you just kind of just rant in Italian?
Sometimes the words in my head are in Italian. Yeah.
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 Does the supervisor think, what the heck?
Bob doesn't hear me.
Bob doesn't
He doesn't hear
you?
my thoughts yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not yet anyway,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Wow. Now, this is cool, too. You were formerly a police officer.
Yes, very brief period of my life.
Yeah, and you and I talked about that.
Yes. I was a part-timer, part-time police officer and a dispatcher for a while, right around after the recession. And then I was honored to get hired full-time, sworn as a full-time police officer for a couple of years. And as I was working, I realized it's not really what I wanted to do for 30 years.
Wow.
So I convinced my fiance that I'm going to resign and go back to school, and lived at home with my parents, so got to save money for that. And she was on board with that, and we did it, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you moved back home, what did your parents say in English?
They really didn't. As long as you got a full-time job, you could be doing anything.
Do anything you want, huh?
Yeah, as long as you worked. My dad worked in a factory for 32 years, so,
Your mom and dad are still with us?
yes, yeah.
And where do they live?
They live in Schiller Park.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
That's where you're
And
from?
that's where I worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have 3 older siblings, way older.
Are they all tuning in tonight?
I don't think so. I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them that this would be live. Yeah.
Well, we'll send them the DVD.
All right. Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So far, so good with Team
Yeah.
Geneva?
Yeah. I think I've been fitting in pretty well, and
Yeah.
people are pretty down to earth and picking up names. That was probably the hardest part, is picking up names in the streets and titles and who's calling me
And why they're calling?
and why. So, but I think I'm fitting in pretty well, and Rich and Bob have been pretty easy to work with. Everything's been great.
Folks from the council, I had the opportunity to swing in to see Rich Babica, it was a couple weeks ago, I think it was, wasn't it? And Franco was just fielding the calls, man. Just- I mean, it was a busy day.
It was a busy day. Yeah.
Yeah. And you obviously did it with great aplomb.
Thank you.
Because sometimes people call and they ask for things that perhaps are a little bit difficult to manage or handle, or,
Yeah, that's true. There could be some frustrated customers or contractors, but you just have to talk to people normally, and
right?
you're pretty easygoing, and you bring down those walls. You can talk to anyone.
It was ironic because you hung up the one call pretty aggressively, and it was my mom. So,
Well,
I'm kidding you.
yeah, I figured much. I don't remember.
In fact, my mom's here tonight. Please welcome my, no. When's the big day? Fiancé, correct?
Yes, July 3rd, 2020. Yeah,
Married locally?
Lincolnshire. And,
Nice.
Yeah, Marriott.
Up at the Marriott there?
Yeah.
You gonna see a play afterward?
Hopefully some fireworks, right? July 3rd, so
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Good point. Already got the honeymoon plan and all that good stuff?
she's never been to Walt Disney World. We were supposed to go to Italy, but she's never been to Walt Disney World, and
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
yeah, she's not a big fan of flying. So,
Walt Disney World or Italy?
they cost the same
Epcot
too.
is in Italy, so stuff, that's right. Yeah, it does cost about the
Yeah,
same, doesn't it?
yeah.
My God.
And
Lots
she's
of-
not a fan of flying, so the 2.5 hour flight was the deal there.
Did you tell her that the city of Geneva has a private jet? You could take that?
I did not.
That'll be the headlines tomorrow, probably. Well, we're delighted to have you on board. Any questions or comments from the dais for Franco? That's so cool. You gotta share with me some Italian sayings so I can speak to my grandkids on the phone.
All right, sounds
Be
good.
awesome, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Welcome
Thanks.
aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. David? You ready, sir? We get to introduce everyone to the wastewater treatment plant operator, David Ord. How are you?
Good, and you?
And you have a fan club with you?
I did. I brought my number one fan, I hope.
That's right.
My wife, Connor, of 23 years.
Welcome. From beautiful Elburn.
Beautiful Albert.
Wow. Now, where did you work prior to Geneva?
I worked for the village of Elburn.
You did?
I did for 4.5 years.
Wow. And prior to that?
The city of Carlisle in southern Illinois.
Oh,
I
my
was a
goodness.
Parks maintenance supervisor for their parks department.
And what brought you up north? Ah,
She had an opportunity in the city she couldn't refuse.
so you train it in?
What's that?
Do you, does Mrs. Ord commutes in every day?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. She gets up at 3:30 to head into work, so.
okay. Move
speed
over.
this
is
along
more
a little.
fascinating. So, is it true you get up at 3:30 in the morning to take the train?
Yes,
May I inquire as to what Mrs. Ord does?
I'm a government employee for Social Security.
Who's answering the questions here?
Yeah, what, Jesus. Yeah, oh, man, that's awesome.
I'll take a seat if she'd like to come
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, would you mind terribly? So, David, what else should we know about you, man?
What else should you know about me?
Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in southern Illinois.
In Carlisle or no?
No. Born and raised in Belleville.
Oh, really?
Went to high school, that's where we met, in Flora, a little town called Flora, Illinois. It's in East Central, about 75 miles east of St. Louis.
Okay.
My dad was a minister, so we moved around a bit.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So we met, started dating shortly after I was out of high school. She was a junior.
And you
We've
said,
been
stick
together
with
ever
me, we're going to
since.
live in Elburn.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to move to Elburn one day. I've got two wonderful boys at home. Nate's 19. He's a junior or a sophomore at Waubonsie.
Excellent.
And Garrett is 15, and he's a sophomore at Caneland.
Now, has Caneland began school yet, or?
Yes, I started last Wednesday,
Yeah, I think we're the latest ones to start, aren't we? Yeah, we start this Wednesday. Geneva does.
and Nate started classes today.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So what's your son Nate studying? Getting all his gen eds out of the way? And
He is, but he's going to study computer science.
oh, that's cool.
He'd like to get into cybersecurity.
That's what Mike Clemens does, our alderman. He does cybersecurity, yeah.
Might have to have a talk.
Yeah. He actually created the code for the CNC. Can you pull that?
Oh?
Yeah, that's how. It's a very complex
Is that how
system.
those work?
Isn't that something? Yeah, it's a joke, Brenda. You don't know what it's. Oh. So, yeah, we'll talk to you afterward about that. The Daily Herald knows what the hell that is, I'll tell you that much. So, Mr. Ord, so far so good?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Everybody's been very welcoming.
It's a good team, isn't it?
It is.
Wow. So tonight, after this brief appearance, you're going to be heading to dinner, I hope?
I think so.
Yeah, where are you going? Somewhere that,
Probably somewhere fast.
some,
Yeah.
so you have to, yeah, exactly.
And the youngest has requested Wendy's, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'll do it. That's cool. Any questions or comments from the dais for Mr. Ord or Mrs. Ord? We're proud to have you on the team.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
I really
very much.
appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Have a great Monday night.
Thank you.
Clements, is C and say hyphenated? Yeah. The alderman says. Our third item under public hearings, special items and presentations, is a presentation from our friends at the fire department. We have with us the august Fire Chief Mike Antonori. And you have some guests with you as well.
Yes, Deputy Chief Mark Heinrichs in the back. It looks like all of them made it. I'm from northern Italy, and I don't speak a shred of Italian.
Isn't that something?
So. The Antonoris came from Telemello, Italy.
Seriously.
Yes.
Tello Mello?
Oh, yeah, it's up in the north of Milano.
I can't help but think about that. Quite right.
So, just a short update. A couple come up every year to talk about how we've done the past year, and then this year I picked one of our programs to highlight, so we'll go ahead and get started. This annual report, our accreditation background now says that on an annual basis, we'll step in front of the authority having jurisdiction, which is the city, and talk about any gaps in services, any capability, capacity shortfalls or pluses, and gives us a chance to have a chat about how we're doing. So as you can see in the picture, this past year we did some ice rescue. We did that, some of you were at our burn down, which is the picture up in the upper right, which is a fantastic training opportunity last December. And you can see Sparky there in the parade. So we will not tell you who Sparky really is, but it's not me. As we talked about in the past, we've broken the city down into 6 response planning zones, and we take a look at our hazards, from very high hazards to what we consider low hazards. And everything goes from high probability of happening to low probability. So a high hazard, low probability versus a high hazard, medium and high probability. And we're going to talk a little bit about some times, and so I just want to kind of run through again for some of you that are newer. You know, what do we look at? We look at how long it takes us to get to the call. So you call 911 and they answer, and they ask you what your emergency is, where you are, and from that time, the answer to dispatch is called call processing time. Our benchmark is 1 minute from the time you call to the time they dispatch. Today, which is different than just a few years ago, 85% or more of our calls now come on mobile and only 15% on landline. I would say in the next 5, 6 years, there probably won't be any more landlines left. Why is that important? Landlines have a hard connection to 911. When you pick up the phone and dial 911, your address shows up automatically, no questions asked. You can lay down the phone and someone will come and help. Mobile, not so much. Most people don't know exactly where they are, and it takes some time. So that'll become important as we get through the numbers. Caller behavior, that probably hasn't changed much. Some people are cooperative, some people aren't. What we've been seeing over the last few years, due to every dispatch center has seen this, is turnover and inexperience. So most dispatch centers are running at 50% capacity of manpower. Full employment, tough job, and we're finding people don't want to do it anymore. So we've got a lot less experienced folks, which adds to some of the challenges. Turnout is from the time that the bells ring until we leave the door. So we give our firemen 90 seconds, day or night, fire, no fire, get dressed, get out of bed, get dressed, put their turnout gear on and be out the door in 90 seconds or less. Faster during the daytime, a little slower at night. And that's from the end of the dispatch to the time they roll out the door. Travel time, our benchmark's 4 minutes. Station to arrival on the scene. Some of the things we're seeing right now are an incredible increase in traffic the last few years. There are a lot of folks funneling through Geneva, east, west, north, and south. No additional roads, no additional width, and we're seeing a slower and slower ability to get to the call. Driver behavior is becoming more erratic. People are no longer pulling over for emergency vehicles on a regular basis. I think Mark and I can attest to that, even in our cars. Weather and travel distance have always been a factor. And for the next 3 years, we have significant road projects. Right now, the Fabian Bridge repair is ongoing until December. Even this Wednesday, it'll be down to 1 lane, both directions with flaggers. The Fabian Kirk intersection improvement's going to go on until September of 2020. And right around before that, the third rail projects will be going on for a couple of years. And shortly in the middle of that, we'll have the East State reconstruction, and then sometime in the 3 or 4 years out, I believe the Kirk Road Bridge will be reconstructed. So all major thoroughfares they're challenging us, and the backups are significant right now. So we have from time of call to first 2 units, 6 minutes and 30 seconds is our goal for any type of emergency, medical, fire, et cetera. A lot of numbers. I tried to simplify it a little bit, but I'm going to walk through a data set from 2011 to 2015, which is our last full accreditation cycle in our next 3 years. And I'm going to look at emergent, which is emergency calls. And we're going to look at call handling first. Increase of 20% in the time of handling calls, so that's a negative. Not good. Turnout, I believe the chief's bothering people and kicking chairs and making sure people get up and moving has paid off. So it's down 13.2%, so that's good. That's a good trend. We're not quite at our benchmark, but we're not too far off, so we expect to get there. Whoops. So the next two are travel time, which is up 7.8%. Not sure there's much we can do about that with the traffic, roads. We have to drive safely, drive in control. And so ultimately, over the last 3 years, our total response time is up 7%. Now, what can we do for some of these things? If we go back to call handling, more experience will help, and technology. There are technology improvements that we're going to be looking at with our PSAP, TRICOM, that would allow the computers to do some of the dispatch while they're collecting the ticket. It requires some investment, consensus, et cetera, but we believe you get 20 to 30 seconds jump on a call with using technologies such as this. Automated voice dispatch so that the voice sounds the same. So we'll be working on that in the next few years, trying to gain a consensus to make You know, Elgin just put it in their jurisdiction. It was about $450,000 for all of Elgin. So, you know, it's not a nominal investment. So we'll be working with the fire agencies to work on that. That's the only thing that's going to improve that area. Turnout, we'll continue to work with the troops to get out the door. We do use some techniques with phone apps that help them map faster while they're walking to the rig and things like that. So it's a consistent challenge, and it's going to be a consistent work process to try to narrow this down to back to where we want to be. The other thing we look at is when we have a fire, we create an effective response force, which is a minimum of 18 firefighters capable of pumping 3,000 gallons per minute, 9 minutes and 30 seconds, all at the fire. So first units do at 6:30, the remaining units do by 9:30. That gives you the amount of manpower to effectively deploy attack lines, backup line, search and rescue, rescue of firefighters, medical. Sometimes we get a lot more than 18, but that's our minimum. So we had 5 ERF fires last year. 726 Fox Run, which was a lightning strike, a relatively massive one. We didn't form ERF to 12:58. There was a storm going on. A lot of the auto aid companies, mutual aid companies were off busier, so they were coming farther away. Serial drive, 9 minutes and 43 seconds. We have one of our auto aid partners that doesn't turn out as fast as they should, so we have challenges there we're working with. Next 2 fires at 2231 Fargo, which if you remember is the one that the returning fire engine from an Elburn call saw it off of Randall Road and self-dispatched and found the fire. And 2246 Rockefeller fell well within our 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And then on 2211 Innovation, it was a snow and ice storm that morning. We all drove there about 5 miles an hour. And that was out at Roquette, and late arrival, but safely. Nobody got in an accident. So, and we continue to manage these very closely. We go through them, and after action reports, we want to make sure that we understand why we didn't get there in our target time, and do we get all the job done. And then, so any questions on the numbers side before I move on to some of them?
Chief, can you define for my benefit, oh, forgive me, Alderman, what constitutes turnout gear?
Oh, sure.
Everything, or is it?
Yeah, it's a boots and pants ensemble that's with the suspenders, your coat, and then you carry your helmet, you put your hood on, you carry your helmet on, you don't put your gloves on, you go to the fire. When you get off the rig, you put your gloves on, your air pack, your helmet, and you go to work. So it takes, what do you think, Mark? A good fireman, 30 seconds to get his pants and coat on? Ish?
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer. So it's a sizable dress. And then if you're sleeping, you first got to put your pants on and your shirt and whatever else you need to put on. So, oh, I'm sorry, you have to call.
Oh, quite all right, Alderman Rubin.
Oh, thank you. Can you just touch a little bit on why the people receiving the calls, why that job turnover is so high? Is it, the answer seems obvious, but I don't know if there's more to
Oh,
it.
it's a stressful job. They are receiving the inbound calls, plus and minus, some very aggressive people on the phone. They deal with that. So it's a very stressful environment. They, there's a lot of competition for folks. You know, it's a good job, right out of high school, no college degree. You can start at $49,000 in our jurisdiction. So it's not a bad starting job, but it's shift work.
Sure.
Some of the younger workers don't want to work night shifts, don't want to work mid shifts. You know, it's a 8 to 12 hour day. And a lot of times if you're junior on the totem pole, you'll be working midnights, 11 to 7 type of thing. But I think it always seems to ebb and flow with full employment, then it's hard. I talked to the Aurora Central Dispatch folks recently, and they're at 50%. San Francisco's at 50%. So it's tough to find folks that want to do it.
Sure. And you mentioned Elgin, they have an automated?
Well, yeah, what happens is you answer the phone, they work with 8 screens, so it's a multitasking environment, and they type information in, and then they talk on the radio. So the newer systems allow them to type things in, and the computer says, oh, I know where you're going, I know what it's for, I'm going to send the dispatch out by computer while they continue to take the notes and adjust the ticket accordingly. So it takes some of the load off, but it's a significant,
There's still a person.
there's a person there, yeah.
Like a virtual assistant.
Yeah. It takes some of the load off so they can talk on the radio to us rather than telling us where to go.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So, criterion 5B,
Alderman
oh,
Kilburg.
sorry.
If you back up one slide, as you look at the city, back up one more, I guess, the map, there's your zones, that's it.
Yeah, I'll go back.
1 through 6,
Yes.
there you go. What areas seem to present the greatest challenge? I know that the time of the day when you get the call obviously would play huge in it, but what areas of your coverage do you find most challenging, and where you expect the greatest response?
The longest?
Longest
Yeah,
response
we historically have had the longest response to Zone 1, which is all the way out to Peck and Britcher, and Zone 5 because it's down below the tracks and there's a narrow way to get down there. So the longest response time has traditionally been 1 and 5. 1 and 5. And Britcher and Peck, it's just a long way from anywhere to get up to from both of our stations. And the traffic patterns, again, it's getting more dense out on Randall Road. It's getting more difficult to get down Britcher and get down Peck and Caneville and Kessinger, so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Alderman Bruno had a question. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. So with the East State Street redevelopment that's going to be, you're going to have to be staging equipment different places to accommodate, or?
We're probably going to take alternate routing to bypass part of that from Station 1. Probably using neighborhood streets that not lights and sirens initially, and then come out on a 25 and turn them on. Be safe, but it'll be faster driving regular speed than trying to get muscle down. It depends on how the construction project's set up, so we'll adapt at the time.
I expect once it's done, State Street's going to be.
Much better. We will not have to fight the left turns. They'll be in the center, and we'll actually be able to make it through without starting at Dairy Queen on the wrong side of the street and come all the way down the street right now.
Thanks.
Sure. So criterion 5B from the accreditation is a robust public education program that covers areas like targeted audiences that are at risk, sufficient staff to conduct these programs, appraising them, look at where the potential for large loss of life and large value losses, and focus education and prevention around that. Also maintain and conduct a juvenile fire setter program, which is at-risk use that show a preponderance for fire, and there's a NFPA, and we have certified folks in that can intercede and then keep them away from starting fires as they get older. That usually is identified either from the parents or maybe a near miss in the home. So last year, we in the sum total, we saw over 7,000 folks, without talking about the millions that are at the Swedish Day Parade. But targeted activities, public CPR training, fire drills in the schools, station tours, preschool school tours, the grade K through 3 program, which we do around Fire Prevention Month, where we touch every student in K through 3 in every elementary school with an hour-long program about health, safety, fire safety, house safety. The Risk Watch Academy, in conjunction with the police department partnership, where we have 80 to 100 kids every year go through that for the last 15 years, where they spend a whole week for 2 hours a day, and they learn about electrical safety, fire safety, bicycle safety and such. So, you know, last year we saw over 5,000 children and 2,000 adults, elder, senior education in the different assisted living facilities. So it's a robust part of our business. It's what we do a lot of when we're not going to fires. If we can make a difference in one person, we prevent one death, one injury, then I think it's well worth the effort. So just wanted to kind of highlight the number of things we do. It's takes up a good chunk of the day, a lot of the year, especially come this fall. And that's that. So, have any questions on the public ed program or anything else for the fire department?
Any questions or comments from the chief about any and all of the information presented?
Thank you very much.
So chief, I think the number one question is, Sparky is Sparky.
Sparky is Sparky,
Okay.
but he happens to be a member of the fire department, so we'll just leave it at that.
Hopefully there's no 8-year-olds watching tonight.
That's true, that's like something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sparky is actually the new Sparky who started a couple years ago doing this is really enjoys it. And so we'll leave it at that.
Sparky's well-trained and well-liked.
Even Sparky's kids don't know who it is. So. All righty, thank you.
Thank you, chief. Thank you, DC. Item 4, folks, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments this evening? Item 5 is the omnibus agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered to be routine by this council and can be considered and voted upon with one motion. Is there such a motion? Alderman McGowan makes the motion to approve the omnibus agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Swanson. Mr. Clerk, how are you?
Caven. Aye. Kilburg.
Aye.
Marks.
Aye.
McGowan.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Bruno.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Clements. Aye. Ruby.
Aye.
The omnibus agenda passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. We skip down to item number 10, municipal bills for payment, and we kindly ask our city clerk to read the bills in their aggregate.
Total bills, $3,721,048.29.
Mayor, I move that we approve and pay the bills as read. The individual items that add up to that amount can be found in tonight's packet on the city website.
Alderman Bruno makes a motion to pay the bills as presented, which are available on the city's website and in the council members' packets. Is there a second? Second. Alderman Ruby makes the second. Any questions or comments regarding the bills as presented? Mr. Clerk, thank you, sir.
Kilburg.
Aye.
Marks.
Aye.
McGowan.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Bruno.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Clements. Aye. Ruby.
Aye.
Caven.
Aye. The municipal bills for payment are agreed to with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. We are flipping over the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, to item 12A under presentation of ordinances, resolutions, and petitions. 12A is to recommend approval of resolution number 2019-82, ratifying execution of a contract with Traffic Control and Protection Incorporated to install, maintain, and remove the MUTCD compliant detour signage in an amount not to exceed $14,300, and this, of course, and regrettably, is for the South Street Culvert Repair Project. Is there a motion? Mr. Marks makes the motion, and Bruno makes the second. Anyone who can tell me what MUTCD stands for? You receive a free Dairy Queen. There can be no mistakes in defining that. One moment, City Administrator. Anybody? Okay, City Administrator Dawkins?
Do you want me to answer that question
No.
first, or just give you?
No, just keep,
As you're aware, a portion of South Street was closed due to the deterioration of a culvert crossing. This was an emergency, so a proposal was procured from Traffic Control and Protection, Inc. to install, maintain, and remove the manual on uniform traffic control devices compliant detour signage that will remain in place until project completion, which is anticipated in November of this year. I authorized the expenditure, but as the item is not budgeted, it does require council ratification. I did authorize it under the code where I am able to do so. Currently, this expenditure can be absorbed in the current budget. However, as we progress through the fiscal year, there may be a budget amendment that'll come at a later date. So, and I do have Director Babica here if you have any additional questions on this particular item.
now, anyone know what MUTCD stands for? Well, I know, but well, that's not the issue. The issue is,
I don't remember.
it's don't go around these things. Any questions or comments for either Director Babica or Administrator Dawkins? Alderman Kilburg?
How are we handling truck traffic as it relates to south? Because I understand that there has been some 18-wheelers rolled through Southampton. How are we dealing with that?
The temporary detour that's in place right now was basically the signs that we were able to beg, borrow, or otherwise acquire from our sister agencies and what we had at our own stock. The detour that's ahead of you or in front of you tonight actually includes truck route signs to encourage, not actually encourage, to direct trucks that are eastbound on South Street to turn at Sheila and go back around to Gary, back out to Randall Road. There's also signage that will be installed at Western and Fabian, advising that the truck route in South Street and South 7th is a designated truck route as well as Western. So we are putting signs up within the detour that are advising the trucks that the truck route is basically closed at Western and South and Sheila and South.
So, interpreting that, we should see less truck traffic on Southampton. Is it illegal for
It is.
18-wheeler to be on Southampton?
It is.
Okay,
Southampton is rated for a 6-ton rating.
right. And I know there's a response time, and some of these drivers have to get oriented to the fact that there's a detour there, but we should see less of a problem there in the future, I would anticipate.
That would be the plan.
Anyone else for Director Babica? What's the name of that street again?
Sheila.
Actually, yeah, you should remember that. No, it's not. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not. Oh, my God. We have a motion, folks. We have a second. All in favor? Who cares? Let's take the roll call instead.
Marks.
Aye.
McGowan.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Bruno.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Clements. Aye. Ruby.
Aye.
Caven.
Aye.
Kilburg.
Aye.
The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Thank you, Mr. Babica. New business, ladies and gentlemen. I notice we do have a distinguished guest in the audience with us tonight. Are you here, sir, for earning a badge perchance? Do you want to join us at the microphone? You don't have, no. Nope. May I ask you what school you attend? Northie, okay. Any questions or comments for the gentleman from North? 2 more days before school begins. Alderman McGowan?
I'd love to hear about the project or award that you're working on.
Now, my dear friend, if you're going to speak, you have to speak at the podium. Do you know why? Because we have to capture what you say, not to mention there's, just hit 1 million viewers of this meeting. So you want to join? I promise, it'll be fun, I guarantee you, man.
I gave Aiden a tour earlier.
Oh, you did?
He's
Good.
a neighbor of mine, yeah.
Oh, no
so,
kidding. Well, then I don't blame you if you don't want to come
And
forward.
he did
so.
ask that he really doesn't want to speak much, so he.
It's up to you, Aiden, whatever you're comfortable with, man. There you go.
Just maybe a short question.
And that's a good name, Aiden, too, by the way.
So I'm going for first class in Boy Scouts, and the requirement is I had to, like, kind of take a tour of City Hall and talk to some people, and also ask about, like, the rights and obligations of a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Alderman Burkhart gave an extraordinary tour?
Yeah.
Did she show you where all the former mayors are buried? Tara?
We did visit your office.
Which is really the same thing. Aiden, I noticed several things missing from my office. I believe that was the Girl Scouts, so it's all good. So, what grade are you going to be in, sir?
8th grade.
Oh, rule the school. That's cool. Are you looking forward to school kicking off again?
Yeah.
Just whisper what you think. Okay. Would you mind fielding any questions from the council members? Anybody have a question or comment for Aiden? Alderman McGowan?
Did you go on any interesting camping trips this year? For this summer?
Not this summer, but last summer I slept in some caves, so that was fun, yeah.
That's awesome. And what team are you going to be on this year?
Blue.
Oh, that's, my son is Gabe, and I think he's also on Blue. So maybe you guys will have some classes together. Nice to see you here.
Yeah, thank you.
So Aiden, the sleeping in the caves, but you had to, or this is
chose
something you
to.
chose to do?
Yeah, I chose to do it.
Caves in Illinois or Missouri by chance, or?
I don't remember.
Yeah, cave's a cave. I mean, wow. Alderman Caven is named after a cave. You were waiting for that, weren't you?
He's been saving that one since you said that originally. He had to build that up for a couple of minutes first, so I was definitely ready for that one, yes, definitely. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. Anyone else? New business from anyone in the audience this evening? From the dais? A motion to adjourn this council meeting would be in order. Alderman Marks makes the motion. All in favor of adjourning this council meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Brief 30 seconds, we'll convert to the committee of the whole. Without objection, folks, we'll begin our committee of the whole meeting this evening. Let the record show that all the aldermen, save for Alderman Maladra, are present. Item 2 is to approve the committee of the whole minutes from August 5, 2019. Is there a motion? Alderman Clements makes the motion.
Second.
Alderman Bruno makes the second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Excellent. Items of business, folks. Item 3A is to recommend approval of special event application including a road closure and use of city services for Geneva Chamber of Commerce Festival of the Vine, September 6 through 8, 2019. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Marks.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Swanson. City Administrator Dawkins.
This item probably needs no introduction,
Right.
but this is the annual Festival of the Vine event planned for September 6th through 8th, 2019, with setup beginning on that Thursday. The three-day event features a fine arts and crafts fair, a flavor fair, and live musical entertainment. The festival has been designated as an official city festival as per resolution number 200815. To support the event, the Chamber is requesting services from Police and Public Works and use of streets, public parking lots, and water and electric utilities as detailed within the application. We have both Director Timoshenko and our Executive Director of the Chamber with us this evening to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for either our Director of Economic Development and/or the Executive Director of the Chamber? Alderman Bruno.
Paula, if you wouldn't mind approaching, should we expect to see anything different this go-round from years past?
Basically, the Festival of the Vine will be the same in the same area. Not too much change. It's pretty much everything set up permit-wise. The only change, we're going to be doing a little bit more security with all the things that are going on. If things can happen at a garlic festival, it can happen at a Festival of the Vine. So we're paying for a little bit more fencing this year to go back a little bit further so that we're able to put porta potties and the ticket booths. It sounds stupid, but it's very important to put it inside the fence line. So we have a better way to block people from coming in and out and getting a little more security. I talked with, had a meeting with Commander Frieder and Officer Perez, and we will be doing a little bit different exits, entrance, emergency exits. Everyone will have walkie-talkies this year. So we're just trying to make it a little safer for everyone, and as they were saying, don't put your head in the sand, it can happen anywhere, and I don't want it to happen on my watch, so we're trying our best to kind of control things a little more.
Well, and thank you for doing that. I just now have to shake that grim image out of my head. So, thanks.
And I hope you like the tree, because next time I'm here, I will be talking about Christmas.
That's right.
So.
Anyone else for Paula or Kathleen? Very exciting. We do have a motion, folks, and a second. All in favor of item number 3A, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3B is to recommend approval of a special event application including waivers of itinerant restaurant license requirements for, ready for this, Celebration of Funk, September 27th and 28th, 2019. This will make Woodstock look like a lemonade stand. Is there a motion?
So moved.
The funkiest alderman here, Alderman Bruno, makes the motion. Second by Alderman Swanson.
Okay. So Penrose Brewing and LLK Foundation have submitted a special event application for their event planned for September 27th and 28th. This is an outdoor ticketed beer and food festival that will be held in the parking lots adjacent to Penrose. The event organizers expect to host 30-plus breweries. As part of their application, they have requested a waiving of the itinerant restaurant license fee. The applicant has met the request of city staff during the review of the event logistics, and a certificate of insurance will be submitted prior to the event execution. And Director Timoshenko is here if you have any additional questions.
Any questions for the director? Oh, Alderman Burghardt.
So no one from Penrose is here, obviously. Yeah, okay. Do you mind coming up? Yeah, sorry. No, so I hate asking you this. I wish Penrose was here to ask these. So the event's categorized as a race, walk, bike ride, and parade march in their application. Instead of a festival fair. Unless I misread. Sounds like a error somewhere. Okay. That's all right. Let's, I mean, is this?
Where is that? Where are you looking?
It was in the application? No? Sorry, I was looking on my phone.
Sorry, the application covers all different kinds of
Okay.
events. So it's the same application, whether it's it just depends on the extent of the.
Okay, excuse me, I was looking on my phone and quick
That's
trying to look
okay.
up. So, did they do this last year?
Yes,
Okay.
they've done this, I believe this is the 4th year, possibly the 5th, but they've done it prior years.
Are there any issues with parking or, they expect to get quite a few people, but has parking been managed okay in the
Right.
past?
Because it's on off hours and they do have access to the parking that is available at adjacent properties, which are all under the same ownership as them, there hasn't been. So as part of our staff review for events, we circulate this to all of the departments, and one of the questions that we look at is whether there's any issues that need to be rectified from the prior year. So nothing was brought forward as problematic from the city staff, and so we do not know of any issues with it.
Okay, and I remember last year, I thought Alderman Bruno and I heard maybe from some neighbors who were worried ahead of time, but we didn't hear anything after, so, very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
And let me just clarify, Alderman Burghardt, I see that they did check on E, their type of event, and I think that's just
An error on their
an
part.
error on their part.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some extra, something going on.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't catch that. I see that now, yeah.
Alderman Bruno.
Right in front of your house.
Yeah, right.
Do they use food trucks?
And what is funk?
Well,
I'm kidding.
it has a lot of
Yes,
definitions,
it
I
does, doesn't
believe.
it? Anyone else from the dais? Questions for the director? Alderman Gilbert? Nope. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of item 3B, as in boy, oh boy, is this going to be fun? Please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3C is to recommend approval of certificate of acceptance for the Stanton subdivision at 1708 Caneville Road.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bruno,
Second.
second by Alderman Clements. Ms. Dawkins?
Sure. So this is a certificate of acceptance for the public right-of-way improvements, water main, storm sewers, and sanitary sewer main to accommodate the Stanton subdivision at 1708 Caneville Road. With the COA, the remaining balance of the corresponding letter of credit supplied by the developer will be released. And we have Director Babica here if there's any additional questions.
Any questions from the dais for the director? Mr. Babica? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3D, recommend resolution number 2019-75, authorizing acceptance of a proposal by V3 Consulting for Part 1 of South Street Emergency Superstructure Replacement in an amount not to exceed $30,734.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bruno. Seconded by Alderman McGowan. Ms. Dawkins.
Okay, so this is in conjunction with the item from the last agenda. So after a sinkhole appeared on South Street, we televised the underside of the crossing and determined that there was significant deterioration. We then sought proposals from structural engineers to assist in making a determination on the severity and recommendations on repair. Following a meeting with V3 Consulting, it was determined that the culvert crossing deck had deteriorated to the point where it could no longer serve as a truck route and the road was closed to traffic. The city has contracted with V3 in the past, as you may recall, on our 3rd Street parking garage addition, and they have the capabilities to provide both structural design, build services. So in an effort to expedite the deck repairs, we've requested a proposal to get the repair under construction. The proposal is in the amount of $27,940 plus 10% for contingencies, and then you will see in a future agenda a second proposal for the construction management. We estimate that the total repair cost, including design, construction management, and construction, will be approximately around $110,000. So, again, Director Babica is still with us this evening to answer any questions you might have.
So this matter is just on the V3 contract. Any questions or comments from the dais for Director Babica? Alderman Kilberg.
Yeah. I had a few questions, Rich. Just, what's the age of that bridge? What would your estimate be? Do we have any idea?
The most senior employee I have, who is sitting behind me on staff, said that culvert predated him.
Okay,
So we are putting it somewhere between 35 and 40 years old.
okay. Do you think a contributing factor is just, the city probably has more truck traffic across that than any, is it a weight issue? Do you think the fact that we have a lot of larger trucks that are crossing that might have been a contributing factor?
You know, we're not going to know what the likeliest cause is until it's formally demolished.
Okay.
It is rated for it was designed and rated for a truck route, so I don't think that's an issue. I think it's just a symbolic of the aging infrastructure or the United States as a whole.
Okay. And then, have we done a thorough inspection of the bridge at Caneville as well as Northampton, since this is the same drainage area? And, was water a contributing factor to it? Do you think it was more related to weight?
Again,
Hard to determine, huh?
it's going to be very difficult to determine what the causing factor is. The water that's running underneath it would not have been a contributing factor. But right now, our focus, if you really think about it, it's been 7 days since we found this. So our focus is getting the road secure, keeping it motoring public safe, and moving forward with a restoration plan. The other inspections of our culverts, as I answered earlier today, the culverts are inspected when we do the televising and cleaning of the storm system, and that's on about a 7-year rotation. We've previously inspected culverts and crossings south of the Union Pacific tracks and east of Randall, so we've looked at those. So we will be inspecting these culvert crossings as resources allow.
I mean, there's been since this is on south, and I would guess that the one especially on Northampton might be about the same vintage. I just was wondering if we did a quick inspection and taken a look at it and just made a determination that things look pretty good.
Well, again, right now our focus has really been just getting
Okay.
to here and today.
Good, thank you.
Anyone else for Director Babica? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Item 3E is to recommend approval of resolution number 2019-76, awarding bid and contract to Kelso Burnett in an amount not to exceed $278,300 for the South Street Relay Upgrade Project. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Marks. Seconded by Alderman Berghardt. Ms. Dawkins.
Okay, the Electric Division has identified protection relays at the South Street substation as needing replacement due to time in service. The equipment has been in service continually since the substation was built in 2001, and they are now reaching the end of their expected time in service. This contract will encompass the removal of the old relays, door panels, wiring, and RTU demolition, and installation of new relays, door panels, wiring, and RTU construction. Bids were advertised, 2 bidders responded. Our consultants estimated that the construction costs of $384,000. So based on this information and past projects, we feel the bid amounts were fair and reasonable. Due to the complexity of the project, staff is recommending a 10% contingency be included in the overall not-to-exceed amounts for any unforeseen field changes. So therefore, the recommendation is to award the bid and contract to Kelso Burnett in an amount not to exceed $278,300. With us this evening, we have the longest-serving Public Works employee, apparently, Superintendent Hal Wright, Superintendent of Electrical Services.
Any questions? How do you follow that? Any questions for Mr. Wright?
He's always right.
Even that sounds,
He's pretty old, so don't make him get up.
yeah, God love us. Seeing none, hearing none, excuse me, all in favor of item number 3E, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes, 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3F, recommend approval of resolution number 2019-77 and resolution number 2019-78, executing utility easements for lots 6 and 7 in block 66 of the city of Geneva, Illinois. Moved by Alderman Burkhart. Seconded by Alderman Marks. Ms. Dawkins.
Sure. So this item and the next item are essentially utility easements for the electric utility, just general kind of housekeeping items that we do to ensure that our utilities are protected within an easement. So if you have specific questions, again, Superintendent Wright will be happy to answer those for you.
Any questions or comments from the dais? Alderman Kilberg, forgive me.
Does this come into play with the East State Street project? Are we doing some homework here in preparation for what's coming in the next couple of years? Or is this just some standard housekeeping?
This is standard housekeeping. It's for a couple properties in the vicinity of Franklin and 6th Street.
Okay.
Homeowner is selling a lot, has 2 lots, wants to sell one off, and in order, his service currently crosses one lot to get to the other one, so it's giving us an easement across. This is south of Route 38, a block east of 7th Street on Franklin.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the next item.
Yeah, I've got another one coming up. That's East State.
I just combined the intro for both, but we're, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the dais? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of item 3E, correction F, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 3F passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3G, recommend approval of resolution number 2019-79, executing a utility easement for 1033 through 1035 East State Street, Geneva, Illinois. Motion by Alderman Ruby. Seconded by Alderman McGowan. Ms. Dawkins.
Oh, I already gave mine.
Right. Any questions for Mr. Wright? None others? All in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Item 3G passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3H is to recommend approval of resolution number 2019-80, waiving bid requirements and awarding purchase agreement with Caterpillar Motorin for a new cylinder head for engines at Geneva Generation Facility at a cost of, well, this is in euros, folks, that's interesting, of 25,000 euros, which equates to about $11. So, 20, okay, is there a motion to approve euros? Motion by Alderman Bitcoin, Alderman Bruno, excuse me. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Ruby. I know it's calculated in your packet, forgive me for that.
Well, it'll be done at the time of market.
Right, Ms. Dawkins?
So a cylinder head for the engines at the Geneva Generation Facility was disassembled and cleaned after it failed in 2017. We then maintained this as a spare. During the preseason maintenance, the head was placed in service and failed again after several hours of operation. It is Caterpillar Power Systems' opinion that the head must be returned to the factory in Germany. Caterpillar Motorin GmbH quoted a replacement head at the cost of 25,000 euros. A possible core credit of 15,000 euros will be applied to the purchase of the cylinder if the cylinder head is found to be repairable. The final cost will depend on the exchange rate at the time of purchase and evaluation of the cylinder head. Caterpillar Motorin is the sole source provider for these parts, and so therefore we request the bidding requirement be waived. And yet again, Superintendent Wright is here to answer any real specific questions.
And I noticed, of course, there was a question and a response to a query from one of the council members regarding this estimated cost. So I know that it's been converted in the Q&A. It's approximately $4,000, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera.
that was the 4,000 for the 2017.
For the 2017 one, okay, forget it. Any questions from Mr. Wright? Head of the World Bank, Alderman McGowan?
Oh, yeah, I was just curious, like, what is the weight of the cylinder head? And, I don't know, where exactly in Germany is it going to?
I'm afraid I can't answer the last one. I didn't anticipate that question. But the weight of cylinder head's probably about 850 pounds. Shipping weight's about 1,000 once we get it boxed up. So it's heavy.
And we're not, and the city of Geneva isn't responsible for the cost of shipping. I think that was in some of the.
No, yes, we are.
We are?
The city is responsible for the cost of shipping. We'll pay it both ways. We'll arrange for our own shipping costs and our own shipping company, and we'll do our best to make sure that we get the best deal we can. We're also looking at timing on this, because we don't have a spare right now, so we don't want it to wait forever either.
I mean, is that fair that, you know, the city has to pick up the cost of shipping when it wasn't really, it seems like it was maybe a defective part or something coming from the factory in Germany?
Our hands are somewhat tied on this
Yeah.
one.
So, okay. Thank you. I guess it's not eBay.
No, there's only one manufacturer, and they're in Germany.
Thanks.
Sure.
Anyone else for Mr. Wright? Alderman Bruno?
It might be useful for the public to know that these cylinder heads, when we talk about a cylinder head, this is not for a Ford F-150. This is for a locomotive engine.
Yes, even bigger than that.
Thanks.
We had a locomotive engine, and it fit in a semi-trailer, and this is much larger than that.
Anyone else? We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. The motion passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. Item 3I is to recommend resolution number 2019-81, authorizing a change order to the 2019-2020 underground electric cable replacement contract with Utility Dynamics for installation of spare conduits and vaults for future circuits in the amount of $56,650, thereby increasing the total cost of the contract to $678,855.70.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bruno,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Clements. Ms. Dawkins.
So the electric utility has had a long-term goal of installing a fourth feeder circuit from Western Avenue substation going south to Fargo Boulevard, as well as burying the existing overhead feeder that exists on Western Avenue from the substation south to the Western Avenue School. With the Greenhouse Point subdivision now under construction, staff contacted the developer's contractor to obtain pricing to install spare conduits in the trench. And it turns out that their contractor was Utility Dynamics, who also happens to be our contractor that we've used for the underground cable replacement contract. So using the competitively bid and previously approved prices from that contract, Utility Dynamics provided staff with a cost estimate. Bids for the 2019-20 underground electric cable replacement project came in under budget, and there is still enough money within the budget to fund this project. Therefore, we recommend awarding the change order to the underground cable replacement contract due to limited space in the utility easement of the Greenhouse Point subdivision and adjacent right-of-way. And this is the Hal Wright Show, so Hal Wright can, answer any additional questions you may have.
Any questions for the superintendent? Seeing none, hearing none. On the motion, ladies and gentlemen, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. Item 3I passes with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. We return to the new business under the Committee of the Whole. We invite anyone joining us this evening to provide any information, ask any questions, express any concerns. Aiden, you got anything, man? From the dais. Okie dokie. Oh, you, Mr. Wright?
I was going to Kyle, Germany.
You're going to Kyle, Germany?
You are right.
You- A motion to adjourn would be in order, folks. Motion by Alderman Marks. All in favor of the motion to adjourn the Committee of the Whole meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, folks.